Hey y'all, I'm not gonna be on here long. This is actually I like doing lives better because it just saves me storage space for now. So let's get into it. So this was actually a dream, and God is showing me like this is a prophetic warning. This is a prophetic warning. And just some insight into kind of what's going on if you have been experiencing this season. So um this is what's going on. So there was a particular dream where um I was hanging out with a group of women, and and it was multiple women, right? And me personally, like I just like I'm naturally like a laid back person. Um, I'm when I'm around people I don't really know like that. I am sometimes quiet, because I don't really. Yeah, I like to understand my surroundings. Maybe that's a trauma response. I don't know. Maybe I need to heal. I don't know. But that's just me personally. I don't open up too quickly, and I feel like me personally, I feel like there's wisdom. I had to learn that. I'm naturally uh, I put myself out there, but at the same time, it's just like I also kind of reserve. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know what that means. Um, so anyway, I'm around this group of women, and these are friends of a potential person that I like or whatever, right? And um, we're all sitting down in like this little. It's like summertime, I can tell, and like we're hanging out, we're having a good time, and there, right? And then I sit down, and then this one particular girl stands up, right? And we're all laughing and enjoying the company, and then she looks directly at me, and she's just like, yeah, this song was about me and something, and basically like this song was about me, blah blah blase blase whatever, right? And me personally, like how I am in real life, like um I desire marriage, right? But it's it's not that deep for me. Like I don't like a lot of drama and stuff because I already got a lot of stuff going on in my personal life, not drama wise, but just goals and stuff I'm trying to reach. And I just feel like I don't like too much of that type of thing. And so in this particular dream, like the girl singled me out. She looked directly at me like, "Oh, this song was about me." And I'm just like, "You gave me the information unprovoked. Like I didn't really care. Like, okay, a song was about you, but and then now mind you, the person, the guy that we were all hanging out for, right? He wasn't there. So the stuff that was being done it was being done while he wasn't there. It wasn't being done in front of him, right? I'm just like, well, if that's the case, then like I'm thinking in my head, like if that's the case, then then why isn't it? Long story short, like why? Where's the result of all that stuff, right? So after that happened, I'm just kind of like I'm kind of me personally in a dream. I got quiet and I was just kind of like, yeah, that was kind of so it's like almost like she was trying to intimidate me or assert herself over me. And 9 times out of 10, when I encounter these type of spirits, whenever I encounter this type of like her spirit gave Jezebel, and I knew, and the reason it gave Jezebel because I see that she was trying to use fear, like the spirit of intimidation, to intimidate me out of being amongst the other girls, right? Being amongst other people. So I realized she was trying to intimidate me. And if you read the book of Kings and you read the story of Elijah, what Jezebel uses, one of the tools that Jezebel uses to intimidate or control or manipulate or silence a prophet, it is 9 times out of 10 the spirit of intimidation and fear. That is one of the tools that she used. If it's not perversion, if she can't pervert the prophets of God, she's going to use the spirit of fear to shut up the prophets of God. And so this particular person, she kind of rose up and like tried to assert her. And Jezebel always is trying to assert herself in a position that she does not hold. Me personally, I never try to assume where I am with a person. I unless the feeling is mutually expressed. But if it's not mutually expressed, then me personally, I take a step back. I don't. I don't try to overplay it. Like, because the word of God says, when you are invited to dinner, don't sit at the place of honor. Sit at the lowest place and let the person call you up, right? So I don't. It doesn't scare me sitting at the lowest place and waiting things out and letting God give me what He desires out of whatever connection is meant to be, right? So in this dream, I seen that she was trying to assert herself in a position. I'm like, but if you really hold a position, you don't have to assert yourself. Honestly, if you hold a position, the position is going to speak for itself. And I realized, I'm just like, well, if you hold this position, then why isn't he here beside you then? And why did you feel like you make this announcement, not just in front of the other women, but in front of me? And she looked directly at me. So I knew that a lot of what she was feeling was towards me. So I realized it was a spirit of intimidation. And then and then after that happens, I feel awkward in the situation. I feel a little awkward. I'm just like, well, okay. That's how I am in real life. Like, because like, all right, whatever. So then we go off into, what looks like to be like a laser tag place, and then the days go on. And then God began to remind me of some of the things that um some of the things that happened to me at the company I'm at now, right? So I wound up finding out. So basically, long story short, when I first got into this company, I was hired on by one of the person that's over everything. And when people found out that I interviewed with this particular person, it was just like, dang, like you must have really made an impression because she doesn't really like people and stuff like that. So basically, God gave me favor with somebody that was over basically the whole company, right? And with this company, I started to experience like I started to experience like jealousy and stuff like that, and like people coming for me type stuff, right? But even when that happening, God still gave me favor, right? And me personally, like, I don't like that kind of energy. Like, I don't like that kind of stuff that makes me feel uncomfortable. Because I don't, like I said before, I don't think I'm better than anybody, but I also know that nobody's better than me, and I carry myself that way. I don't think less of myself. There's nobody that can make me feel less of myself. God, I've already, because the thing is, I fight for the identity in Christ. I went through a season where my identity was constantly being tested by the enemy, where God allowed me to go through a testing season so I can find out who I really was, and I can purge out the things. And still, because I don't feel like anybody has ever made it, I feel like we're constantly evolving, constantly learning who we are, what we want out of life, as God continues to mature us in our calling, in our purpose, in our relationship with Him. We go through photosynthesis, I believe. All like we're constantly evolving, because we are evolutionary beings. We're evolutionary species. We're evolutionary species. The species is constantly evolving. No species has came to be what is be without first evolving. um so just in my own personal life, I realized that it was trying to intimidate me out of my next blessing. So I wound up finding out um that this particular company, God, there was a word, there was a prophetic word that was given to me about schooling and stuff like that. And I want to find out this company, that basically I qualified for, like, just them to pay for everything. And with them paying for everything, this also includes a pay increase. So God told me to take this particular position at this company, right? And at this company, I want to meet in young women who I begin to minister to at the company, as well as God began to elevate me financially in this company, right? So, and I found out this company also, there's also, basically, I qualified for stuff like, well, they would pay for all my certification stuff and pay for everything, and basically, that would include a pay increase. So I realized that this now, before all this happened, like before, there was a lot of warfare. They were trying to push me out. They were trying to make me uncomfortable. A lot of times you have to get used to being uncomfortable. You have to get used to being uncomfortable. You have to you cannot, one thing, you cannot make your comfort an idol. And that's something that God has always instilled in me. Do not make your comfort an idol, because I have not called you to live not necessarily a life that's uncomfortable. I've called you to to tread terrains. And if you tread terrains, you know anything about terrains, it's not always level ground. It's not always. Sometimes you have times where it's smooth, and you have times where you have to go up a hill. We have to walk down a hill. You have to walk on uneven ground. So you have to get used to things around you constantly evolving, because God is the same way. God is a moving God. He's a living being, and living beings move. If you realize somebody needs CPR, it's because they're not moving. It's because they're not able to move. But somebody who is alive, they are moving. They are alive and being and moving. And so I realized that there were a lot of warfare right before I found out this information about the opportunity and the financial increase that this could bring into my life. I started to go through a lot of warfare, y'all, at this job. Right now, it's okay, right? It's okay now because the enemy failed at his assignment of pushing me out, trying to make me uncomfortable to where it pushed me out, right? And I realized that and also this job is also like it transfers like to different states and stuff, or different countries. So if I decided to, hey, I want to move, I want to live in a different country, or I want to live in a different state, and it also, I could do that. It offers me flexibility to move to different centers. So I realized that this was such a God thing. Like, this entire me getting on at this company was a God thing, because it gave me it was exactly what I asked God for, like the freedom to move around. Like, I didn't want to be stuck in one spot, or feel like I was stuck in one spot for however long God would have me working 9 to 5, right? So I realized that all this warfare was to intimidate me out of the blessing. It was to intimidate me out of what God has for me. It was to intimidate me out of the next level of what the Lord wanted to bring into my life. So after I seen it, it made me after I had seen it, it made me um realize, like, there was a Jezebel spirit rising up through people. And like I said before, not all enemies you deal with harshly. There's some people that just, they're broken, right? And the enemy is taking advantage of their vulnerability, of their brokenness, to make them rise up against you in a certain type of way. But keep in mind, dude, you do go after that spirit. There is no sympathy for a demon. We don't sympathize with demons. We're not demonic sympathizers. I'm sorry, I'm not. There are people who willingly let themselves be open to certain things, and even in that, people have to willingly stand in agreement with that spirit in order to start operating in it, right? But some people really just don't know, and that's okay too. So there's some enemies that you pray for, that quote unquote enemies that you pray for, that you intercede for, because these people are hurt, and because they're hurt, the enemy is exploiting those those vulnerability, those hurts inside of them to come against you, right? And then there's enemies that know exactly what they're doing. They chose evil. They know there's a hell, they know there's a heaven, and they still chose evil because they like the lifestyle. They're not going to give up their riches or whatever the devil has given them in order to choose him, right? Those are the people that are relentlessly pursuing you, like Pharaoh, who have chosen your demise, who want to see. Listen, those are people that gotta go. You can't keep those lives, because those, or you can't keep those in the right. Those, they have to be dealt with. But anyway, like I said before, there's different types, and discernment and a prayer life. God will show you, how to handle certain relationships and certain people, accordingly, right? But it's a spirit of intimidation. So a lot of times the enemy is rising up a spirit of intimidation, especially when you're speaking out against things that are, when you're standing up for righteousness. Look at the three Hebrew boys; they were standing up for righteousness, and what happened? Nebuchadnezzar began to single them out and threaten them, and he used the spirit of they were using the spirit of fear. There was also a Jezebelic attack. I've even experienced this stuff in my own life with speaking out against certain things concerning stuff in government. All of a sudden, my phone just goes completely out, and I take it to get looked at, and they say all this stuff is wrong with it. I said, this is I said, how is all this stuff wrong with my phone, and why isn't I'm not able to get any signal? And I'm paying for phone service, and I'm just like, nothing is working on my phone. Like, what's going on? Find out that something in my phone had been tampered with or cut off, and they claim like, oh, that's just normal. I said, no, this is not normal. This is not an old phone. Like, what I'm saying, like, this, how did this happen? So I realized, I put two and two together. I was like, okay, because God had already showed me something concerning like surveillance. That I ain't gonna go into that, but I just know that it's some other stuff going on. And a lot of times when you start speaking out against stuff, there is retaliation. Point blank, period. They try to intimidate you. They try to scare you. They try to push you out of speaking up and speaking out against things that are ungodly or things that are just not righteous. You know what I'm saying? And if nobody, and I'm saying, not saying, we're not speaking from a place of we think that we are just the ultimate goal of righteousness, but no, I'm saying you speak from a place of we care about people and you're serving people with your voice. You're serving people using your voice. You're serving people using the gifts that God has given you in order to speak out, and so that God, because God says stand up for those who are, who are not, I want to say less for, that sounds bad, but to speak up for those who are how do I say this? Who are oppressed, right? To speak up for those people. So that's my personal conviction. And a lot of times it doesn't, you miss opportunities. A lot of times, and I'm okay with that. I never been the type of person that I don't worry about nothing. God really does provide for me. And if I, I can't, if I, man, when I say what God has done in just the last few months, He told me to go to a wilderness for a season, and I just stepped out on faith and trusted Him, and allowed Him to take me through that season of both healing and a lot of stuff of just revealing stuff to me concerning about what He wanted me to do and concerning just, all the other stuff that I was going through, right? And then that to turn around to this and everything just kind of just working out how it was meant to work, always work out. It's just such a God thing. It's nothing I can take credit for. And one day I want to tell the full testimony of that, but I have to continue on with the journey ahead, right? But so that's the story, y'all. Just that's I mean, excuse me, that's the dream. Just understand that there's a spirit of intimidation that's being released, to push you out of your next breakthrough, to push you out of what God has for you. And I realized in the dream, like I automatically, like me personally, when I see certain stuff, I don't like dishonorable people. So I 9 times out of 10 I remove myself. And if it's the will of God, not that I'm running from anything, but just like if I see some weird stuff, like me personally, I don't want to be around you. And um and I almost like left. Like I was having fun. Like it was like a group of girls, and I was having fun. And I realized that this person wanted me to leave. Like they wanted me to feel less than. They wanted me to feel like less than them. And I realized that, oh, okay, this is, I know I've seen this spirit before. I know exactly what this spirit is. And immediately I started kind of like like checking around the room, and I seen there was a few people that was in the group as well that were laughing because it's like there was an insider, like they knew what was going on. And I'm looking around, I'm like, I'm taking mental note of who's who and what was what. And I was like, okay, bad, 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 bad. Basically watching my surroundings type stuff. and and I realized, okay, they really wanted me to leave. And a lot of times it's I don't want to sound like a butthole, but I'm tired of censoring stuff because just no, I'm tired of censoring stuff. A lot of times out of 10, when people, you gotta understand that spirit of jealousy is nothing to play with. I've dealt with that for the last year. That's what caused a lot of stuff in my life as well. But um, it is what it is. I don't want to sound like a narcissist, but it is what it is. I've dealt with, like I said, I dealt with that spirit my entire life, but it felt like jealousy. Like when people are intimidated by you as a person, they'll try to overassert themselves over you, right? Like in order to make you feel less than. But the thing is, all they're doing when a person is really healed, all they're doing is exposing. Um, all they're doing is exposing that they are insecure. That's what I seen. I seen that the reason she did this because me being there made her feel insecure. And keep in mind, y'all, in a dream, I'm having fun. I'm not even worried about this girl. I'm kikiing with everybody around me. Like we're just having a good time. I love a good time with no drama. Like it's just a good time. Not no other weird stuff. Just having a good time, laughing and playing and enjoying the presence of other people. And like I said, it was a group of women. So I'm just like, yeah, like we having fun. Blah 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 blah. All of a sudden, this girl makes it weird because she's insecure, and I realized, okay, I know what this is. So God is saying, like, also pray for these people. Like, if you once you spot what's going on, pray for these people, but also create boundaries and also create. I'm seeing the Lord say space. There are some people that God will lead you to create space with. If they are moving weird, like sometimes you do have to create space to protect your heart. And also, like I said before, there was a prophet Lamar said this and it was so good. He said, sometimes I don't go around or put certain people around me because I realized that them being around me is dangerous for them. When God be for you, nobody who can be against you. When God rides for me, and I don't like watching nobody go through judgment. Even if they did do me wrong, that's just my heart. But at the end of the day, if they go through it, 9 times out of 10, you sow what you reap. If I have went through chastisement as a child of God, and you're not even submitted to God, and you doing what you want, you think that God's not gonna chastise you too? Oh baby, you gonna get that chastisement. And a lot of times, just to save people from that, I move out the way. I move out the way. I move out the way and like, Lord, and that's why Christ said, God, forgive them not, for they know not what they do. Because Jesus' heart was, I know what they're doing, but Lord, these people are broken. These people don't know no better. If they knew better, they wouldn't be acting like this. If they truly knew who you were, if they truly understood and had wisdom, they would not move like this. These people are hurting, God. I need to die, God. I need to go through this pain so that they can be free. And sometimes we have to go through pain. And like that's why the word of God also says in Ecclesiastes, too much is given, much excuse me. The more knowledge you have, the more sorrow you have, because when God starts to give you better discernment and you start to peep things, you start to understand things more. It makes me sad sometimes. That's why Jeremiah was always crying in the Bible. That's why Jeremiah was always crying, because God was revealing so much to him. God was revealing the hearts of man to him. God was revealing what was going on in the earth, and it made him weep. Guys, when God shows me things prophetically, most of the time I'm crying. Most of the time there's a weight, there's a sadness, there's an anger that comes over me. There's things that come over me because I know why certain things that happen, but at the same time, it's just like, man, I wish it didn't have to happen. But sometimes things have to happen because it's just God's plan, or God's allowing things to happen because people refuse to listen to him. So it's just like, to like you, the more you know, the more sorrow you have. So it's like the more wisdom God gives you, even though it's a gift and it's a beautiful gift, and I love wisdom, the more you have it, the more the more the more you see the world around you differently. And it can make you sad. It can make you feel, upset about certain things. So with that being said, y'all, just be on the lookout for the spirit of intimidation. Don't up and leave a place just because, or up and leave like I said, this dream, it was a guy. Like, I was ready to leave. And me personally, like I said before, y'all, if you know anything about my testimony, God had me interceding for somebody for 7 years, and like I said before, me and this person never had sex. It was not like that. Like, it was just God led me to pray for this person. I was having prophetic dreams about marriage and stuff with them, and then one day I woke up one day and God was just no longer obligated to this person. But that relationship taught me long suffering and not just to leave, and I had to grow in that fruit, because y'all, I was a leaver. I was like, when something rubbed me the wrong way, bye, I can go. Like, I don't have to stay. Like, and I still kind of have that mindset, just a tad. You gotta have a balance. But I've also learned to be patient and wait for God to lead me to leave a place, before I just up and leave. Um, like, you can't you can't always be like that. You have to have a balance. She's a runner. It's a track star. It was a song. That's me. That's about me. Cause she's a runner. She's a track star. She gonna run away. Bye. And it's not just necessarily loyalty. It's more so like, before I'm gonna move myself out the way before I get to invest it in something that's not stable. Not stable for me, like mentally, emotionally. Like, no, um, not necessarily. Look, I ain't worried about the other stuff, but like, if I feel like this gonna be detrimental to my health, no, I'm gonna move out the way. I'm gonna protect myself. So, God, sometimes we have to not always be so self-preservation. God might have you in a place to intercede for people. And a lot of times when I see widow stuff, I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna move. Where, like, I was telling a sister in Christ today, she was just like, she said something about, I don't want a leadership position because I don't want to be bothered about the other people that's in leadership. I said, well, just because you don't like them, don't let them block your blessing. If you know you have what it takes to be in leadership, then be in leadership. Who cares? They just gonna have to get used to seeing you. If they don't like it, so be it. It's not you were chosen for the position for a reason. Don't let them block you out of what God has for you because they are jealous of you, or because they find you and they're intimidated by your presence, or let them be intimidated. They just gonna have to get used to seeing you. Point blank. Period. Go after what God has for you. Period. Even with look at Esther. Esther was surrounded by lots of women, but the king chose her. But what if Esther would have got insecure and left? Or what if Esther would be like, it's too much drama. I'm gonna leave. I'm out. And I'm like that. Because the thing is, I fight in real life. I know me. I swing. So it's just like I just like let me remove myself. And I got a son, so I can't be doing reckless stuff. So I learned that when stuff like that, when I feel like energy, I'm gonna leave because if I have to fight, I will. So I'm just like nah, and I'm like I don't feel like a dude is worth fight. I'm not saying I'm a dude. I'm not. It's not a dude is not worth me going to jail over. A husband, yes. A husband, yes. But a run, no. But yeah. So don't let Jezebel push you out of. I'm smacking on here. I'm sorry, y'all. Don't let the spirit of intimidation, the spirit of Jezebel, push you out of what God has for you. Continue to move forward. Continue to go for it, and the things that God has for you, and just stay wherever God has told you to be planted at. So with that being said, y'all, I'll see y'all later. Goodbye.